we just pushed ourselves in the fire because we actually didn't have that much, even experience in the tourism industry, because this project is more related to tourism than just, real estate and accommodation. But, what kept us is the vision. Like it's was pushing us forward, and we really believed in the opportunities that such a project will present to Croatia.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Chat with Nomads. This is another episode of the special series looking at the brains behind Croatia's push towards a digital nomad destination. And today we have with us the CEO of Work Remotely Croatia and the founder of Digital Nomad Valley Zadar, Mario. Hey Mario, welcome to the show.
Hey Rex, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's nice to see you again. I mean, like we last met each other in October, right, in Zadar?
It was I think December in Zadar, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, it's December in Zadar. Right. I got my timeline wrong. True.
Yeah.
So it's not been that long actually.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
great to see you and chat with you and hang out with you for a while.
Yeah, awesome. I back then when I met you, I already told you I was very interested to do an episode with you, because I think for the past few episodes that are up talking about Croatia, there's the same reoccurring theme whereby one of the reasons that Croatia's success as a digital nomad destination or its rise to prominence these days is because the willingness for people to really do something without having like a clear idea of where it's going to go, right? It's just taking the risk. I think for you guys, you and your co-founder represents a lot of that for me when I saw it, because you guys are pretty young and you come from more of the startup angle on doing this, right? So I would love to talk a lot more about that, and obviously the Zadar initiative. And before we get started, let's have you do an introduction of yourself for the audience, like who you are, those kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. So I'm 26, born and raised in Zagreb, the capital of Croatia. And I'm an entrepreneur. This is my, let's say, second venture. The first one is Grab a Home. And that's the booking accommodation platform for a longer term period. So for a couple of months, up to a year. And that's how I started basically my entrepreneurial career. That was 3 years ago. And it was actually focused more on international students. But since the pandemic happened, we're also started focusing on digital nomads and remote workers. And it's definitely an emerging, trend, movement. And for my personal view, I finished master's in economics in Portugal, Lisbon. Did my bachelor's also in management economics in Zagreb. I really like to travel the world. I traveled since I know myself. Every year, usually with my parents first. We like to travel a lot, and then did a couple of exchange semesters in Madrid and Singapore. Really love the Southeast Asia region, and that's where I first met first digital nomads. That was like 6 years ago in Chiang Mai. Then I did my master's in Lisbon, and definitely tried some digital nomadic for myself. Even though for the let's say past a year and a half, I wasn't really able to travel that much due to Corona, but also due to the projects I've been working on. But it's definitely in my heart, this lifestyle, and in the future, I'm definitely going to be a digital nomad again sometime in the future. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I really like it that you were saying you started traveling even back when you were studying. I think that gave a lot of the wanderlust, which is kind of the same case for me when during university I started traveling around, and of course that kind of stuck on as we progress, right? So what I wanted to talk about, especially when you mentioned about your first endeavor being Grab a Home, that is definitely something that I want to look into as well. But I've heard a bit of your story, obviously, because we spoke while at the villa and stuff. One of the main things about doing the so-called the first digital nomad valley in Croatia, right, was that it was obviously not like an easy journey, because when you guys started back then, Croatia was also just starting its push as a nomad destination, right? And I know you guys tried to approach the government first, because that seems to make the most sense. If you can get the government support to do a bit of stuff, then obviously entry is easy. But that was not the case, as in it was always difficult to work with government, right? So I like to hear more about this part whereby how you guys approach the government first, and then although that did not turn into success, why do you guys choose to after that approach accommodation instead and set everything up yourself?
Yeah, well, the initial idea Actually, I mean, the inspiration itself came from the case study of Digital Nomad Madeira, the Digital Nomad Village in Madeira, which was definitely something that was, I think, on many people's minds. And I know that people even in Croatia started talking, about like it would be great to have something like this here, and and people usually just talk, And the first like idea that we could actually do it was we just had a coffee and split with Jan de Jong. He's the person who, for those who don't know, who basically initiated the introduction of the so-called digital visa in Croatia. He's a Dutch entrepreneur. And he just gave us also an idea, like, guys, why don't you just do it? Like, you have experience in accommodation. That's like one of the biggest pain points for digital nomads and for these type of projects. And I can definitely help you out as well, with promotion and connect with you with people that you need to be connected with. So that definitely gave us a boost to try to do it. And we tried to first talk with the city of Zadar and the tourist board, and we definitely got their interest. And we started talking about this and opportunities. And so the first bigger focus was doing something similar to what Madeira had. So basically, the project on a level of a city, I mean, although they're very interested, it was a new thing, and we're young, let's say unexperienced, maybe we seem to them, and so it just took a lot of time and convincing to do something like that. And then we realized that it would just take too much time, and like, why don't we just do it on our own? And then we started looking at we came up to the idea that there are a lot of hotels, resorts in Croatia that are basically abandoned in the off season. So basically the Croatian tourism, especially on the coast, it's associated with just summer months. So you can say from like June to August. September is still good, and then we just say it's dead. I mean, of course there's some tourists, but it's really a small percentage of what it is during summer. So we knew that there's a lot of great places, like great hotels with great facilities. They're just simply empty during the off season. And really like the Zadar, like we like the destination, Zadar, the location, size of the city, access to the sea, access to the airport, highways, and everything, which it just seemed to us like a great city to start with. And yeah, we approached let's say the most famous here hotel resort called Falkensteiner. It's Austrian hotel chain. So they're very well known in this region. And yeah, they had like mobile homes, like a campsite with mobile homes, pretty mobile homes, which seemed like a perfect destination, like that each nomad gets in the mobile home. And then they also have like a few conference rooms we can basically turn into co-working, and they have just great facilities, they have wellness and everything. So yeah, we approached them. They liked the idea. We had to, of course, negotiate some things and agree on the same stuff. It was definitely we still like to call it a pilot project, something new. So it took we also took flexibility from both sides, and basically determining what's the best way to to do this project. And initially, then in the end, they said yes, like let's go for it. And yeah, that's how it started. So yeah, that's how it started. And the idea was to, well, this pilot project to basically show that it can work in Croatia, even in the off season, when a lot of people and locals, even people that are in the hospitality industry, say that there is no money to be made here. And although, of course, summer months are months where you are definitely able to earn the most, and with daily rental as well in accommodation business, but there's still you can still do something in the off season. And for me, it's just great to be able to show that we managed to do something new, and we managed to do something new in the off season.
Right. And for the viewers that are watching on YouTube, right, I just want to point out that Mario's background now, he's actually in one of those mobile homes that he was talking about. So you can see that it actually looks pretty decent. I've seen it myself, and it does look cozy, especially, and for the amount of facilities that's within that motor home, I would say that it's actually pretty great, right? And then there's a lot of sunlight. So I'm just curious, would you only approach Falkensteiner, or do you also approach other hotel chains and stuff?
Well, I guess we were quite lucky because they were the first ones that we approached to. We just like their facilities, and we were able to make a deal with them. So we just basically we just targeted them. They accepted our terms. Like we managed to do a project with them. So we didn't go with other hotels we even try. But in the future, definitely, like for future projects, we would see what are other also opportunities and potential around whole of Croatia, basically.
Right, and I know that's quite lucky. And I know you were back then. We were also saying you were trying to look out for other properties that have the same issue, right? And similarly, in the past episodes, we have been talking about this idea that digital nomads could be a potential market group towards the local industries that's like tourism, hospitality, and stuff, right? And you yourself come from actually one of the less probably obvious category, right? Like you do see you guys started with Grab a Home, which is targeting at international students. And then with Work Remotely Croatia, I believe when you guys started it, it was because you saw the potential in the digital nomad spending power, so-called, right, to spend in Croatia. And similarly, I mean, accommodation is always needed wherever you go, right? And so this is where you guys also see another emerging market, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Like we like cut into this project, like to say, we just pushed ourselves in the fire because we actually didn't have that much even experience in the tourism industry, because this project is more related to tourism than just real estate and accommodation. But what's kept us is the vision. Like it's what's pushing us forward, and we really believed in the opportunities that such a project will present to in Croatia. And we just want to do something new, because we knew that the industry is rising, digital nomads movement and remote workers in general, and we saw a big opportunity in Croatia for this. So we just said, let's do something that makes sense to us, and just try to prove to others that it can work. So yeah, it's been it's great. And we had in the valley, we had people who are pure digital nomads. They basically are completely location dependent. They just travel where they want to for how long they want to, and then after this project, they are gonna either stay a bit longer in Zadar or go to Split or somewhere else to Slovenia, travel somewhere else where they want to. And we had also more typical remote workers, where people are basically able to work remotely in their company, and they just decided to maybe go for 3-4 weeks. Yeah, go here, like they heard it's a nice community here. The facilities look great. So just came here and stayed for a couple months, a couple weeks, and they just came back, to their basically base, where the usually work is, the offices. So yeah, we had quite a mixture of people, which was great to able to, as it is a pilot project, to examine all of these, let's say, niches and target markets for the future, and see what people's preferences are as digital nomads and as remote workers. And I just think that this represents a lot of potential then for the future. And the findings we also got from this project are, I think, they're really great. And the plan is to also make a case study of this project, and then to publish it, so people get also more familiar, especially in this industry, with the potential of digital nomads and remote workers for Croatian tourism.
Right. I think the findings will be very interesting, because I understand you guys are coming almost to the end of the first cycle. I definitely want to talk a bit about the findings with you guys in a bit. But one of the things that I noticed, and I think has been mentioned in some of the media, was that Falkenstein as a location, right? There's like some pros and cons to it. One of the reasons you guys chose that previously, so Falkenstein has a hotel kind of structure, but you guys chose actually the motorhomes and campground, which gives a very unique vibe, and that was one of the reasons why you guys decided to go for that, right? And when we went there, I think most of us that were there, we saw that it was a very good space, especially for company retreats and stuff like that. The flip side of it is obviously saying that Falkenstein is not exactly in the city center. Not that Zadar is huge or anything, but so-called the action is near the old city, and Falkenstein is definitely not within that area, right? It's like a 15 minutes drive or 10 minutes drive or 15 minutes walk kind of thing. It's a pretty scenic walk. I've walked that trail before. But that brings the question of community, because I think from what I observe, I guess that is one of your biggest takeaway from it, because in Zadar, although, so I was in Zadar as well, to give a context for the audience, but I wasn't staying in Falkenstein. I was in another project that you were running with a villa that was similarly outside the town of Zadar. But what I realized then was that if you have a community that's fun and engaging, the location doesn't matter as much, because I don't have to go to the old town every day. It doesn't make sense. Like even spending time with a group of people that's interesting and fun within the accommodation makes a whole lot of sense. And I think as I've seen throughout the months, you guys have been focusing a lot on the community aspect of this initiative. So we'll be interested to hear more about that.
Yeah, Yeah, so the valley is located, yeah, in the vocational resort, which is in Borik in Zadar. It's a really nice neighborhood. Yeah, like you said, it's around half an hour walk, maybe a bit less to the old town. By car, it's around 10 minutes or something. Um, but yeah, as you said, people actually prefer much more the community aspect than the location. This is also something that got approved in this project. And I was just talking yesterday with a couple of nomads here, and they even said that like I mean, of course, it's also like some people want like appreciate the city more, some people less. But in general, people that usually come here are really connected to nature, and they like say, as long as it has nature, it's much more important than to have the facilities the city offer. But they say like this location is like a lot of them, most of them say like it's actually perfect because it's close to the city. But here they also have like just basic amenities. So they have like a bakery, a pharmacy, a restaurant, a few restaurants and cafe bars. Because during summer it's actually quite a touristy place due to the big resort, the functional resort and the marina. So actually, it's also next to the beach. It's on the beach basically. So it's perfect. You have everything like in 1 kilometer radius, even less. You have everything you need. So that was great. And for future, I think we would even go more toward nature than toward the city, because that's just what people here like. That's basically the conclusion. And we would even like to even do maybe some like eco villages, maybe like summer, which is not even in the city at all. Maybe a bit more continental in Croatia, much more sustainable, as well, facilities, and maybe it's something that can be all year round, because this project is ending on 31st of March, and then throughout the spring and summer it's closed, exactly because of the reason that then it gets populated by tourists, and then daily rental kicks in for the hotel. And something more remote, it's probably going to be able to do it all year round as well.
Right, right. I do think that, like what you say, every different kind of accommodation does attract different people, right? Even if we are not just talking about accommodation, but location, because within the nomad space, there's this holy trinity of three cities that are basically the nomad hubs for the last few years. And I think each of them are relatively different from each other. Like for Bali, obviously you see like it's very close to nature. A lot of people go there for the nature aspect of it to be close. And then you have Medellin, which is in Colombia, and that is pretty much city, I would say, and that still draws its own crowd of like people who want nightlife or cheaper, lifestyle within the city. And then you have Chiang Mai, which you have been yourself. It's a bit of a mixture because it's not a huge metropolitan city, but a huge draw for people there is the concept of yoga and spiritual, retreats. So I do think that there's definitely space, and Zadar itself does have a lot of potential because of the surrounding nature that I don't think is as well known as other spots like Split or Dubrovnik. But Zadar itself actually have a lot to offer in itself. So that's interesting to see that, like, if you guys can tap on it more, I think that would be great.
Also like to add that most of nomads came actually from the EU, and the remote workers as well. So most of them are coming from a bigger city here. So that's also what I think that for most people here, not saying all, but for most, it's actually the nature aspect is much more important than the city, because it's something they have at home when they or at their base. So definitely, yeah, nature is definitely more crucial than the city.
Got it. And what's the typical nomad profile or nomad traveler profile that you guys see there? Is it mainly solo travelers, couples? What kind of vibe
Oh,
do you
it's
see?
quite a bit difficult question. Because like we had so many people. I'll just like mention a few examples. So yeah, we had like solo travelers, we had couples, quite a lot of couples. We even had a group. We have now a group of people as well, like 6, 7 of Czechish people that came. We had people that came with their dogs, that came with cats. And so it's basically we didn't have a family, but we had a few inquiries, but in the end nobody came. But it'll be also interesting to see a family also coming. But I think in the future, for future projects, that's also going to be definitely happening. So yeah, it's basically I mean, that's the beauty of remote working and being the digital nomad. Like anyone can do it. It's very hard to do demographics of them based on anything besides how they work, which is remote work. So yeah, that's been great. And yeah, we had like people coming from a lot of from EU, because it's easy to travel to here, and from the States, and from South America, like Mexico as well. And usually they're it's IT industries. They're what they do. Usually software engineers or web developers. And then we had some like teachers, English teachers, or some like freelance consultants, so also like freelancers, and yeah, even like business owner as well. So yeah, it's a diverse group. I would say they're the most similar in the way they work, of course, and the industry, which is mostly like IT or like some freelancing, because of course it's the easiest to do it remotely. But even like the working hours are different. Like some people have to work from 9 to 5. They go to our co-working space and then they work normally like you would at home or in the office. And then some people really have the freedom to work, so they maybe just work in the evenings or something.
Right. And in that case, what are some of the activities that you guys organize around like the community? Because like, it's so diverse, right? That's one thing. And I do know that you guys do a lot of nature stuff, having been to a couple myself. But in general, is it mainly all leisure nature? Do you guys also do a bit of like business mastermind kind of thing? Give us an idea on like what are the I'll say what are the activities you guys have tried and you think really picked up and was popular?
Yeah, we mostly did well-being, or like say like connected with nature, and the more like easier activities, like something for your well-being. So for example, hiking is was hugely popular, and Zadar is very close to the Velvet Mountain. There's a lot of hills as well for hiking. So I mean that's one of the reasons why we named the valley, because it's so close to the mountain next to the sea. So that's like the inspiration for the name came from. And then yeah, we had yoga meditation classes every week. And then we did some like community stuff, for example, like movie nights, board game nights, or like we say community kitchen. So that's like usually one normally cooks something like traditional home dishes, which is also great and very fun. And we also did like volunteering event as well. We had once carrying a solar panel to one of the mountain huts. And for next week, we are planning to do a beach cleanup of the Borg beach, which is also like send a message that nomads really care about sustainability, then usually give more than take, and in terms of nature. So I think it's just a great like metaphorical activity. Yeah, we did like meetups with other people, like other nomads and locals in the area in Zadar. And did like a fuck up night event, like basically talking about your failures. So it's a bit more like networking. So yeah, we had these kind of events, but we didn't do like some masterminds and workshops. To be honest, it was also not that much time for us to schedule something like this. But yeah, for future projects, we'd like to definitely do some maybe workshop and like you said, some more like business and networking events as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I also do know that you guys also hang out with the expats group in Zadar quite a bit, right? Because when I was there, it seems like at least the people running the different groups know each other pretty well and do stuff together. So that's really interesting. Let's go a bit into the challenges of it, right? Because I mean, as we have spoken, everything sounds like rosy and stuff. Obviously, I know that you guys had a lot of problems along the way. One of which that was very early and evident, like very early on, and this was, like I told you before, this was one of the reasons why I went to Croatia, was that when you guys first clinched the deal with Falkenstein and posted about Digital Nomad Valley in Zadar, right? And then you have photos and everything on the Facebook group for Digital Nomads. It looks really impressive when people saw the photos, and obviously people are interested. And the first question they asked was like, what's the price, right? And then of course, when you mentioned the price, you got flamed a lot. When I saw it, I was like, shit, this guy is like getting like bombarded with all this thing, because everyone is just saying that, oh, I can rent a cheaper apartment or something like in the center of Zadar at a cheaper price. But of course, my thought was always that the market is the market, right? Like what's the demand and what's the supply, it will justify itself in the end. But of course, from your end, it was very obvious that Falkenstein is kind of a premium pricing in the hot season, right? So even if they reduce their price drastically for the low season, it's still a premium accommodation compared to like, of course, renting an Airbnb apartment somewhere else, right? So you guys obviously took a lot of heat on that, but it didn't deter you guys from saying, oh shit, this doesn't seem to be taking up well. And of course, I know it took time for applications to come in, and this project was relatively last minute for you guys as well. Like a lot of things you guys had to rush it out, like the website and everything was pretty last minute, right? And through all these challenges, what was the thought process behind it? Like what made you guys decided to keep going on? Because I think that is one of the main things that really differentiate the whole initiative, that despite challenges, and I think the thing is that in any case or in any startup, there's never a smooth sailing journey, right? There's always like bumps on the road. So on that aspect, how do you guys handle that, and how do you differentiate like what's like just something that's happening as like a negative thought versus a challenge that you guys really foresee based off feedback that you need to address?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of things I can talk about for this question, but yeah, I can start with the price, which it's of course some people, I mean, because it was also posted like in some Facebook groups where everybody can comment and everything. We're really open with everything, and answering to all questions that people may ask in the comments. And of course, there are some people that saying it's very expensive. Like I can find accommodation for 300 euros in Zadar or whatever. And no, I mean those people are missing the point anyway, because this is not accommodation offer. Firstly, because it's the experience, the community aspect. You get the community manager who is organizing activities and doing a lot of things for you. You have the co-working space. You have and then you have like of course the facilities that hotel usually offers. So actually our price is what you would normally get, or maybe even a bit more cheaper than like longer term stay in this hotel, because the hotel is usually the mobile home. It's priced 50 to 70 euros per day. So it's just that you get this hotel, then amenities and the services including this. So it's actually, we really didn't the price wasn't really, it's something what you would get normally if you would take a longer term stay in a hotel. But then we made one room to like the co-working space just for them. We have community manager, and just like we organize some local partners to get some discounts and everything. So it's just it's just the whole experience you're getting. And of course you can always get cheaper accommodation in the city, but that's not the point. We're not this wasn't like accommodation offer. Accommodation is one part of this offer, of course. So yeah, I mean, in the end, those people, and digital nomads, there are a lot of digital nomads, and that's, we can say how they started is they're doing like geo arbitrage. They're like moving to places which have lower costs of living, and basically just taking advantage of all the all of that and the cost to lower it, so they have more money to spend. And some digital nomad that really is has this kind of mindset. This is not for him. This offer, it's probably not for him. This is more for people who are looking to move somewhere to somewhere where they get instant access to the community, and they really they don't have to do anything before they come. They don't have to prepare anything. They just come here and basically take care of them completely. And that's one of the main feedbacks we'll be getting from people is even when they go to Madeira, for example, which I still think it's a great project and idea. When you get there, you don't get that much support. Like you don't know where to go. There's like Ponta do Sol, which is a small village, but usually there's no accommodation there. So you go to maybe Funchal, and then Nomad couple here was telling me that they went to Funchal, and then they realized, okay, this is not for us. So, and I was also going to Madeira in September, and it was also like I didn't know that was that much connected. So usually the car or a scooter, and September is still like touristic season a bit, so I couldn't find a car to rent. So it was just like you have to take care of so much stuff on your own, which it's fine. But here, when people come, there's like it's so easy. Just come here, you get greeted by the community manager. She explains you everything, meets you, with the community. Here's a co-working space. You have everything in one place. So it's that kind of offer. You get basically everything and the whole experience without doing much work, and you can just work. It's also for people who want to do like a workation. Just like come here for 3 weeks, they work a bit, and then they spend more time on these activities we organize. So yeah, I wouldn't say actually that the price was our issue, and that like because of the price we can we have almost 20 people as well in the valley. And but one of the issues, like you said, I can mention maybe some issues we have, let's say challenges, was that it's a 6 month long program. So we also weren't sure how many people would come in December, how many in January. So for example, in December, as you know, there was the lowest number of people in the valley, mainly because of Christmas. So most people for Christmas went home, or didn't want to come around Christmas time. And then after Christmas, we had like instantly like 15 people coming, which was surprising to us. Like that in January, we were afraid maybe January will be a low number of participants, but we actually had a great number of people in January. And then yeah, there's some problems with the hotel as well, because it's also their first project doing something like this. So there are some changes that then we had to also communicate with Nomads, and trying to see how we can to do these changes and basically negotiate to offer something else, stuff like that. So yeah, there are some challenges, but in the end, I mean, it's almost done. One more week to go. But it's like most of the things are super positive and great, and it's really like the people are really giving great feedback, which is in the end the most important thing.
Right, that's good to hear. And I think you have touched a bit on this, but to narrow down, we always say that we start with a plan and then the plan goes out the window when you get into the ring and get sucker punch, right? Is there anything throughout the journey that you guys did that turned out very drastically different from what you anticipate it to be, like either the objective of it or the character of the people that will come? Like you guys expected something and then now at the end of it you realize that, hey, this whole thing was not kind of in the direction we expected, but it turned out like this way.
Oh, it's hard to say. We definitely didn't have like some fixed expectations because we knew, it's a new type of project, and there is not like also benchmarking you could do. So we didn't have that much expectations. We did expect to have a diverse group of people, that will have some people coming for maybe 2 weeks, some people coming for 2 months, which happened. So yeah, it was hard to have expectations. But in the end, I mean, more or less it did go as expected in terms of people that came and how people would come. We were, let's say, surprised by the media attention we received, which was more than we expected, to be honest, because we got a lot of like basically organic like PR coverage, which was of course great for us. So we're really surprised by that. And I mean, I really am surprised that the feedback people are feedback they're giving was honestly even better than we expected. I mean, I want to say like I want to now say not only good things about the project, but I mean that's really important for us to hear that they really had great. I mean, not of course most people, there's some especially in the beginning there's some challenges, but in the end, like basically everyone had great feedback, and we were surprised by how many people wanted to extend as well. So we had a couple people extending and a lot of people asking like if they maybe could come in March or April again. And a lot of them said that they're definitely going to come next year again if it happens again. So I mean that's definitely also a positive feedback. Yeah, like in terms of like negative, like something negative that happened, then will be more negative than we expected. Not really. Maybe like I said, some issues with the hotel and some quick sudden changes which we didn't expect. For example, they had some construction works to prepare for the season, which we completely disregarded. So like there were a couple of days that are a bit more noise in the campsite and stuff like that. So we had to really work around that and make sure that people are still satisfied and it doesn't affect their experience here. But other than that, I mean, it's been going really great. Yeah.
The media point was a really good point because I think so. For the listeners, the previous episode of this series is actually with Paul, which Mario you also know from Total Croatia News, and we were talking about the role of media in this whole push for Croatia, right? And I definitely see that as one of the key performance factors, and it's also because it's not just the media doing a coverage, but I see it as almost like it's a rising wave that is rising all the boats, right? And when there's more initiatives that people are running, there is also more stuff for the media to cover, and then it becomes a cycle whereby, well, now people are doing stuff and then the media covers it, and then more people are doing more stuff and then the media covers it, and then it rolls into like a snowball that just goes downhill, right? So that's pretty amazing. And
yeah, I can
yeah,
definitely it definitely helped a lot to get all this media coverage, not just for people like reading the news, but it really helped us to like rank on Google really high. So we actually, especially in the ending of the project, like people that came in March, a lot of them actually they heard about us by Googling like Digital Nomads Croatia, Digital Nomad, even like Digital Nomad Village in Europe or stuff like that, which was really surprising to us as well, and definitely something that helped us a lot. That and the word of mouth, like people just recommending, was like the two biggest things that attract let's say the last bunch of people in this season.
That's interesting because on that point, like at the start, what were your strategies in terms of marketing? Because hearing from you, I don't think your anticipation was that I'll go to the press and try and get a shit ton of coverage. It wasn't, right? But you guys must have had some other form of marketing strategy in mind, right? Was that very different?
Yeah, I mean the initial idea was to just use the social media presence. So back at the time, I was the admin of the Digital Nomad Croatia Facebook group, and so our initial idea was just to post on a lot of Facebook groups, like for digital nomads, not just Croatian. Europe and like the most known, which helped us really get a lot of applications. And then like on LinkedIn, which helped us a lot to get that's how people usually heard about the project, like the journals as well, through LinkedIn. And of course, we count on support from Jan de Jong, who really helped us because he has very strong LinkedIn presence, like a follower base. So it's definitely something that we were focusing on and expecting the most interest to come from. And yeah, we were just doing after that, just organically trying to grow the base. We didn't spend any money on marketing or anything. We're just trying to get that PR coverage because it would sound like interesting to journals to write about it. And then like launch the Instagram profile, like then push some content when people already came, like to push content on Instagram, which is then also a great asset because people could go to Instagram and see like, oh, like there's there are things that people do now, like that they can really see what's happening. So yeah, we really counted on that Instagram, just in general social media. And then we also the word of mouth was important to us. So we once we had like first I could say batch of people, maybe like in October, like through November, we really like also asked them like if they could recommend to us if they really liked it. And for example, we had a Czech couple coming in January, and they loved it so much that they decided to come back in March. That's the group I was telling you about. So they like brought like a couple more friends, and then they joined together. So we really just counted on just getting organic reach and not spend any money in marketing, because I'm sure like we will be able to get even more people in the valley if we did some marketing, spending some money in marketing, but we didn't. It's still like a testing ground, like a pilot project. We also didn't want to see ourselves getting like 30, 40 people in the valley at once, and that would be maybe something too hard also for a community manager to handle. So we like this approach first, just getting organically and see what people how people react, and if they could recommend us to their friends. And it really that was really the plan.
Right. And in terms of findings, I would really love to know, what did you guys, or even if you think in this perspective of like, if someone wants to start an initiative like this in their own country, or they find a new space. And to be honest, I actually hear a lot of in the Nomad groups, I actually hear a lot of people trying to acquire a plot of land or in construction of building like a co-working, co-living space kind of thing, right? So you have run a similar initiative as the first pilot, right? What are some of the things that you guys think worked really well? And what are some of the things that you guys did and you realize that, okay, this doesn't actually work, and you wouldn't do it again the next time around?
Yeah, well, we realized that like the community manager aspect is works really well, and we now have Gilly on spot. We also actually changed the community manager in the middle of the project, and yeah, we realized that like some very communicative person, like and really engaging person would be best to be community manager. And that worked really well. And everybody says when they leave feedback, they always mention Jill, the community manager, and like she's really doing. She's definitely it's a big value for the whole project. So that definitely worked well. And the activities we organized, like hiking and just like being in nature is what most people want, and like they're always happy after doing it. So we realized that like definitely like some location close to the mountains or has some hiking opportunities is definitely a great location, because even the Nomad base, the website, they say that number one activity for nomads is hiking, which definitely proves true, to be true here as well. So that also worked well in terms of the location. Well, what didn't work well? I mean, it's hard to say now, but I want to focus on some small things. It's also hard to now come by, but I could say that something that could be even more beneficial is to have a separate room for video calls or just calls in general, because we have a co-working space now that is just one larger room, and we weren't able to make like a smaller like a conference room or like a room for calls. So people sometimes they just stay in their mobile home, which it's great for working as well, like that's where I'm now, but sometimes they would just maybe stay here and do their calls because maybe it was more convenient. Although now people are, I mean, even in January, because others a great place in terms of weather. Like you have a lot of sunny days, in the winter. So a lot of people just went outside and just do their video calls outside of the co-working office, right next to the beach. And that's especially if you want to get your, co-workers and clients jealous, just like hearing the sound of waves in the background, and then like sunny day. But yeah, that worked well as well. Just having like they actually did it themselves. They just put like a table outside and like just brought a chair, and that's how they did their video calls a lot of times. So yeah, maybe some like the anecdotes from it.
That's nice. I mean, like outside some of the motorhomes, there's this platform, right? Also called like a, I don't know how you call it, like a patio. I thought that was pretty good, especially the campsite itself is kind of quiet because it's actually quite big, right? And when it's off season, like you're saying, it's pretty much dead. Like there's no tourists going around. So that's actually also a very nice place to kind of do a video call outdoors, I think. Right.
Yeah, some people just in the terrace of like the patio because they love it so much. So they just stay there and just work for a day.
Cool. And so now that the project is coming to a close, right? What's the next step? What's the plan? How do you kind of, because this was an issue that obviously you guys known right from the start, right? And I think just to reiterate for the audience benefit, because this happens throughout the whole Croatian coast, whereby during summer prices are expensive because everyone wants to go to enjoy the Croatian coast, right? So there's a whole heap of tourists and stuff. And the peak season during the summer is where the locals kind of so-called burn out because they have to serve like 24/7, so much business, right? And then the problem is that when it comes to the winter season or the low season, the place kind of dies out. And that was the premise of working with the hotel, right? To be able to cover, to be able to give them some form of revenue at a lower price during the winter, during the low season. And there was always this talk that, okay, so now it is a high season, now what? How do you continue bringing this community spirit that you have built up like during this period out of a physical location?
Yeah, well, what's interesting for this project in Zadar, actually a lot of people are even after the project ends, they're planning to stay in Zadar for still some time, which is great to hear. They really like the city and they want to stay here. But in general, yeah, like you said, summer season is approaching. Usually in April already, the hospitality industry starts rising on the coast, and it's very hard to basically compete, with tourists in the summer in terms of like revenue. So, and we're not even, I'm not trying to convince anybody like, yeah, like why don't you switch from tourists to just normal tourists to digital nomad remote workers. That's not the idea. It's basically if there is some opportunities on the coast to do something in the summer, that's great. I'm sure there are. Maybe not in bigger cities. No, that'll be great. Or there's a lot of places in continental Croatia which are beautiful, filled with nature, lakes, rivers, and it's just amazing as well. And it's so much like undervalued, in terms of like when compared to the coast. So I'd love to do something more continental as well. But in terms of like what to do after this project and like the plan for the future, well, now the plan is to basically, we have a lot of data now, and we're planning to collect even more, like to ask nomads like through a survey, like a lot of questions to see what the most important things for them here, and what we could change, and basically to see what are their needs of each of them, to create also like some target group, and to see how to continue this project in the future. Yeah, also the plan is then to like I said, like create a case study of it, basically to write like an article as well about it, and so just to be made like available to public. And then easy steps. We pushed ourselves into fire this time and really try to do this last season already. Don't wait for until the city approves the project or whatever. And now we want to take it a bit, take a step back, explore what Nomad said, create a business plan, and basically see the opportunities for the future, because we can continue now in many ways. Now we can do something similar with the same maybe hotel or another one in a different location, or do more of them. We can maybe see if a city or a tourist board is willing to work with us as well to create a project on the city level, or work with some companies and organize vacations for them, or like do like a B2B approach project. So there's a lot of opportunities now that arises from this project. And I really can't say now like what the plan is, because now we're just focusing on finishing this project, get as much as information, the data as possible, and then see, for the future what arises. I'm sure there's going to be more like opportunities and projects in the future, which we can work on, and then we'll decide.
Sounds good. So that means you guys are actually also open to opportunities outside of Zadar. That means like some other locations that you think fits the bill.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, Croatia, or even if, even in the region, I think, I love this region. I think it's great for, remote workers, like Slovenia, Bosnia, Serbia. So, there's opportunity like Montenegro. There's opportunity to work in another country. Why not?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I definitely do think that the Balkans is a bit underrated in terms of, because it's not as popular a travel destination compared to Western Europe, which is why it's never like the first choice where people choose when they want to go travel, right? But then the Balkans itself has a lot of stuff that then becomes like barely discovered. Plus, well, it's cheaper. That's also one of the biggest advantage in the Balkans. So for partners who are interested to reach out to you guys, or for nomads who are interested to follow and see what's up with you guys next season after this project, how do they find or follow you or contact you guys?
Yeah, sure. We'll still have the Work Remotely Croatia website, so it's workremotelycroatia.com. It's going to be open and it's going to be adjusted after the project ends. Now the main focus is on the project, and they can just follow the news there. There is a newsletter as well. We send once per month or 2 months as well. So we're not spamming people. Yeah, they could there's also contact information there. So yeah, just Work Remotely Croatia. It's still a brand we're gonna continue working under, and for future project as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great domain name that you guys managed to get.
Thanks. Also help out with the SEO for Google as well. So that alongside with Digital Nomad Valley Village, it's I think we're getting a lot of keywords, the good keywords with it. Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome. I'll definitely be catching up with you. I'll be looking forward to see what you guys are doing next, because obviously Croatia is upcoming with a lot of events this year as well. So thanks, Mario, for coming on today to share about like the whole initiative. I think that was very insightful as well.
Yeah, thank you, Rex, for having me. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Always prepared with good questions. Yeah, I'm also following you in your journey as well, and I'm pretty sure we'll meet each other somewhere along the journey again.
For sure.